Governor Gavin Newsom has signed a law that will raise taxes on guns and ammunition. It adds a state tax of 11% to gun sales, and that's on top of the existing 10 to 11% tax by the federal government. The money will pay for things like security improvements in public schools and violence prevention programs. Newsom also signed a law to overhaul the state's rules for carrying concealed weapons. The governor warned that as California tries to take charge on gun safety laws, federal judges could quickly undo any progress.
The governor of California, the poster child for rules for thee, not for me, has signed into law an excise tax on guns and ammunition. Welcome to another installment of the Connecticut Gun Bench. Today's video is brought to you by P.A.N. Firearms, LLC. P.A.N. Firearms, your NRA certification and multifaceted gun training. You can reach us at 203-300-6343 or use our website at www.panfirearmsllc.com. As always, there'll be a link in the description box below. And if you like my channel, like my content, and what I do here, you can support me with the link. Everything is appreciated. Let's talk about this. Now, this story came out a day ago, but the governor of California, Gavin Newsom, has signed into law a tax, an excise tax on guns and ammunition sales, which will literally double the tax rate on those items. He's raising it 11% on top of the already 10% state tax. So most people are going to pay anywhere from 21 to 22% more to buy guns and ammunition. Now, this is unconstitutional, and there are precedent cases set for this move, but he's doing it anyway. Now, my personal feeling is he's doing it to be a spiteful B, period, because he knows, a judge there in California, Benitez, just overturned the state's magazine ban for the second time. The same judge also overturned the state's assault weapons ban, forcing it back to the Ninth Circuit. I think this is him trying to play damage control for his voters or his voting base. Now, you saw a little bit of video. I just want you to hear him explain himself, because once again, he's going to use the mental gymnastics that we all come to expect and not necessarily love.
You're seeing it across the spectrum. A few years ago, you saw it on background checks. You're seeing it in Oregon. You're seeing it all across this country. Hard-fought rights, even in a blue state, doesn't mean those rights will be enshrined. They're being rolled back in real time.
The law takes effect July 1st, 2024. The California Rifle and Pistol Association has promised to challenge California's new gun laws in court.
Heard that and you saw that. Now, I am going to come into here, and this is just a quick overhaul, but Gavin Newsom signs California law doubling taxes on guns and ammo. A small price to pay, that's his quote. Governor also inked legislation overhauling states' previous rules for carrying concealed weapons. He has basically made it impossible for a concealed carry permit holder to carry a gun in a state, in direct defiance of Bruin and already established law when New York tried to do the same thing and the courts overturned that. But why should that stop him? California Governor Gavin Newsom signed a law Tuesday that would double the taxes on guns and ammunition, with the new revenue going to safety initiatives. And I'm going to explain to you why he's specifically putting that money towards safety initiatives, because there's a reason for that. And once again, it's not necessarily to make things safer. It's basically to cover himself on when a lawsuit starts. The federal government collects excise tax on purchases of firearms and ammunition at either 10 or 11%. The new law adds another 11% excise tax, meaning that Golden State residents can indirectly pay as much as 22%. Newsom said he saw the tax increase as a pretty modest investment in gun violence prevention and believes it will help towards reducing those costs ultimately. The carnage is too much. We can't normalize it. We can't accept it. Newsom said this is a small price to pay. Now, this is the same state that does not hold criminals accountable for their behavior. But once again, he's trying to claim that paying more money to the state will somehow reduce gun crime. This is the same thing when they say if you pay more in taxes, the climate will change. Same idiotic approach. California is now the only state in the U.S. that has a special tax on gun purchases. Newsom also signed a law Tuesday that bans people from carrying guns in nearly every public space, which overhauls the state's previous rules for carrying concealed weapons which leads to the point of why do you have a concealed carry permit if you can't go nowhere with it? The tax does not apply to police officers or to businesses that sell less than $5,000 worth of guns or ammo over a 3-month period, which is pretty much every FFL is going to make more than $5,000 in a 3-month period. The tax is projected to generate $159 million per year, with the money going to the California Violence Intervention and Prevention Grant Program and State Department of Education. The California Violence Intervention and Prevention Grant Program runs initiatives that target young people in gangs and help them with life coaching. The State Department of Education would use the money to improve security at schools and run after-school programs for at-risk students. Chuck Mitchell, the president of the California Rifle and Pistol Association, told the Associated Press that both laws are unconstitutional, and they are. The CRPA plans to challenge the legislation in court. Quote, "These laws will not make us safer," Mitchell argued. "They are unconstitutional, retaliatory, and vindictive response to the Supreme Court's affirmation that the Second Amendment protects an individual's right to choose to own a firearm for sport or to defend your family. They are being challenged, and the second they are signed, the clock starts ticking towards a judgment striking them down," the gun right advocate added. Well, see, here's the thing. The state spends your money to defend itself, and you have to spend your money to sue. Now, let me come out of it now. I said before, the reason why they're putting this towards safety initiatives is because back in 2021, Illinois had the same thing. They had an excise tax or a special tax on guns and ammunition. The Illinois Supreme Court struck it down. But in that ruling, they stated that because the money had no clear path towards actually reducing gun violence, they found it to be unconstitutional. That's why Newsom is putting that little added safety initiative program into his wording. But there is already established precedent for this. Murdoch versus Penn, and this was 1943 if I'm not mistaken, but they said in their ruling, no state shall convert a liberty into a license and charge a fee thereof. Then there's also Shuttleworth versus City of Birmingham, Alabama. If the state converts a right, liberty, into a privilege, the citizen can ignore the license and fee and engage in the right, liberty, with impunity. This is going to fail in court, but Newsom knows this. But once again, Newsom's not spending his money to defend it. That's the problem. And it will take years before this is even heard. And in the meantime, we're going to have other states with these same liberal, backwards Democrat hive mind who are going to do the exact same thing. They are making a right unaffordable for majority of the populace, especially those who live in areas where there's high crime. But as I said in the beginning, Newsom is doing this as a retaliatory move because of what happened very recently with their large capacity magazine ban. But once again, unfortunately, people in California are going to have to tolerate this nonsense until it gets turned over in court, which I said before can take years. It's always coming back now to the social aspect of this. Democrats are the first one to tell you how they care about the poor, minorities, and yet they make laws that only affect them. This is going to have a detrimental effect on the poorest people in that state. The poorest law-abiding, because the criminals are not going to follow this. No need to point that out. But once again, I think Newsom's acting like a bee, and he passed this just basically to create another legal conundrum that the state's going to have to go through at their expense. It means millions of more dollars wasted on a law that is not going to do what he claims is going to do. But here's the problem. He knows that too. That's the worst part. But let me know what you think. As always, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. And as always, any statements of violence or statements that lead to violence will be removed. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you're notified the next time a video goes live. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.